today?
I'm great. How are you doing? Look at my giant face behind you.
Look, and it's the ring that you're manifesting for me that I'm going to get one day.
I'm manifesting that ring for you.
It's done. It's coming. It's done.
You want a giant like emerald? Like I mean, it's big, girl. It's big ring.
It has to be big because I lose jewelry. So it has to be big because I'm a loser.
Okay, it's big. You're safe. Okay, I like it.
But look, one of the things that really resonates with me with your character in this role is how, especially as a woman, that we have to live according to this picture perfect life in order to command the respect that we deserve. And I wanted to know for you, is that something that you ever struggle with? And if so, like, what did you do to really kind of break yourself out of that mode of living for the world instead of just living for yourself?
Great question. I think, you always tell yourself that you are going to do something and then ultimately it doesn't actually happen when you wanted it to, when you think it's going to happen. But I always try to make a very distinct differential between like my career and not letting the success of my career influence who I am as a person, which ultimately, hopefully, lessen the blows, right? But as far as putting on a persona of having my shit together, having my stuff together, honestly, it wasn't until I had kids that I let that go. I think having kids, like it's many things happen, right? And I don't want to keep talking about, it's not like I'm the first person to have a kid here, but you have kids and many things get put in perspective. But the main one for me was time. And the second that time gets put in perspective, you realize how much time you waste on other things that are not important. And to me, that was one of the ones that I was like, oh, that's not important. That's got to go. And so it was easier for me to find this new version of myself that was the one that had kids and parents, whatever, all that stuff, than it was to try to pretend to be somebody again. So my kids, I would say, so when was that, 8 years ago? So I was in my 31 is probably when it happened. And also like finding a partner that allows you to be as vulnerable as you need to be and as weird as you need to be. I'm not saying I was never vulnerable as a human. Like I've always been vulnerable, but I don't ever know if I let like my full weirdness, like my weird, I was always, here's an example, okay? I always thought that you had to pretend to like certain things. I was like, I'm making this up, but call it Braveheart. People will be like, have you seen Braveheart? And I was like, yep, that's a great movie. That's a great movie. I've never seen that movie in my life. Or they'd be like, have you seen that episode of The Office? And I was like, I know, it was really funny. Never seen an episode of The Office. But these were all things that I thought I was expected to know. I met my husband, and I swear to you, somebody said we were sitting with three of us, and somebody goes in there, Braveheart. And I took a moment and I was like, do I lie? Do I lie again and say that I saw this damn movie? And I literally turned to my husband and I went, I'm not gonna lie. I've never seen this movie. I don't care to see, I don't care. I get it. I don't care. And my husband started laughing. And from that moment, I stopped pretending to be somebody I wasn't. I'm not that highbrow. I love reality shows. Okay. But I was always like, I love 60 Minutes. I would always do things and say things that made me appear to be better than I was in fear of people not seeing me. Of course, it's 100%. So when I met Ashton, or reconnected with Ashton, whatever you want to say, and we talked about Braveheart, and it is Braveheart, guys. It was with the nail in the coffin. I was like, I don't care about Braveheart. I have since want you to know, we sat down and we both watched it. It was fine. It was fine, okay? It was a fine movie. Oh my God, I just took up so much time with this stupid story. I'm so sorry.
I'm really here for this theme of embrace your weird, because I'm living for it. I'm here for it. Yes.
Yeah. So to me, that was it. That was like, now I have no problem being like excited. Like the other thing, okay, was I didn't allow myself to always get excited about cool things, because I thought that if I got excited about cool things, that makes me somehow less cool. That if I showed like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like if I did that somehow I would be like the less cool person, versus always acting like it's no big deal. Like that's no big deal. Like of course Barack Obama walks into the house. That's no big deal. Like things like, and I would say that also changed in my late 20s, early 30s, where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna embrace awesomeness. And it's okay to be like, this is really cool. And it doesn't make me any less cool.
Look, we are embracing awesomeness. We are embracing being weird. That is what we're living for, and we're going to continue thriving doing it. I just want to thank you so much. Thank you for being so open and honest with me.
Oh
And
my
just
gosh, of course.
thank you for inviting me to your TED Talk. I am just sending I'm sending love and light your way, and I hope you have the most amazing day. Thank you.
You're so awesome. Thank you.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing? Nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you, and I'm loving this outfit. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much.
Look, one of the first questions that I wanted to ask you is, young Ani has to deal with, just a lot of trauma that Ani has to go through. And you really have to portray two different characters depending on what point in Ani's life we're at. And I wanted to know for you, like, how did you learn how to compartmentalize, these two young versions of Ani while preparing for this role?
I mean, I definitely think that a lot of it had to do with kind of like relying on the people that I was working with. I mean, there were so many incredible kind of like creative, you know, the incredible creative team involved between the director and the writers and producers. I mean, the writer and the producers and kind of, the art department and, set design and all the other actors and kind of every single last person involved. So I think I was kind of able to rely on them quite a bit to help me, through Ani's journey and kind of how we saw, her life unfold over the course of this movie. And then, of course, Mila takes on a huge weight and burden of, the trauma and the experiences and impacts that it has on her.
One of the biggest things that I love about this is really about that moment when Ani finally decides to use her voice. Yeah. And I wanted to know for you, either personally or professionally, like, what was that first moment for you that taught you, like, it's okay for me to use my voice? And you can speak personally or professionally.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely been a couple moments that have helped shape me. I mean, I grew up with a single mom, so I think that my mom really inspired me quite a bit, that it was okay to use my voice, it was okay to speak up, it was okay to ask for what I wanted and what I needed. And I think that that's, an important part of being a human and being a person and being a woman. That's something you have to learn at a certain point. More professionally, I was working on a TV show called Tell Me Your Secrets, and I was working with Lily Rabe, and I vividly remember her kind of, informing me through, by watching the way she behaved and by watching kind of her, experiences and her, mannerisms and, kind of her strength. It really taught me that it was okay to speak up. And she did it in such a kind and gentle and loving way. But I saw her communicate when something didn't feel right or when something, didn't sit necessarily right with her, and being able to kind of take that from her and learn that. That's something that I think about to this day. And I've told her that I've said to her, listen, it totally informed a big part of the actress that I want to be when I'm on set and the person that I want to be as a whole.
I love that. Yes. I mean, but also too, like, working on this tough material, like, what are some of the things that you did to really decompress after walking off of set each day? Like, how did you make sure that you came back to your own piece?
Well, I think that I have such a good support system around me. I mean, my mom is like my best friend, and I have incredible friends and, an incredible team and a lot of people around me that, love me and honestly take really good care of me. So I think that, being able to lean and rely on them for kind of grounding and support is super helpful. I also think that, there's other ways to kind of ground yourself, reading or meditation, exercise, finding something that you love to do, watching a movie, listening to music. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to kind of decompress and reconnect with yourself, for sure.
Also, too, I mean, I still think that there's a lot of traits to take from young Ani. There's ways that she learned how to cope with everything and how to kind of push through all the tragedy that she had to deal with. And I wanted to know for you, like, what were some of those characteristics that kind of stuck with you after filming?
Well, I think that her strength as a whole and kind of, her showing that there is light at the end of the tunnel and that there is kind of, a way out and there is another side. I think that kind of, experiencing that with her is, super special and super informative. And hopefully it inspires not just me, but a lot of women out there to say, it's okay to use your voice. It's okay to be who you are. And also that, there's a, a dignity and a grace and a, class to Ani. And, I think she's figuring out who she is, and that's a really special journey that we get to go on with her.
Look, I just love every single thing that you do. I want you to keep thriving, keep shining.
Thank you so much.
I'm sending you so much love and light your way, and I just really hope you have a great day.
You're so sweet. You too. Thank you so much.
Thank